unfolds. So now let us consciously engage in spiritual practice together. We invite you to settle in, center yourself in this moment, and find that sacred place within where spirit is all there is. Our centering time today will be led by the amazing Kim Schneider, accompanied by Theta Phoenix. But first, we begin with an affirmative prayer. Please join me in consciousness, knowing there is only one life, one mind, one all creative force, an infinite intelligence known as God, Spirit, love, Hea Kau, the divine. This one mind is the originating cause of life, seen and unseen, known and unknown. It is the substance from which I am, the energy that moves me, sustains me, and nurtures me into greater expansion of expression, so it may know through experience the fullness of itself. I speak my word for the part of me in the universe known as the multiple expressions of humanity. As I contemplate my place within this universe, I remember that God is ultimately energy in motion, infusing itself into its creation, making all sacred within its one nature. Within the sacred is infinite potential for unbound prosperity to be experienced through all who accept this truth and live in expectancy within this truth. I know that God is money in action, just as God's abundance and potential lives within all conditions and all circumstances, waiting to be recognized as a gift given and received. As I set my soul intention from a place of greater acceptance of my good, a good that serves the highest and best of all, as I open to receive this good, I feel life's blessings upon me. With deep appreciation from the allness of God, as the one life inspired by love and the law of its being, I reveal infinite abundance moving through and as my life. I release anything obstructing me from cultivating this loving acceptance and connection for the presence of the divine as me, as all, here and now, knowing the powerful work of the law of mind is happening. And so it is. And now I get to welcome back Theta Phoenix for our second song, followed by Kim doing our spiritual practice.
So just moving into our spiritual practice, allowing the sounds to open our prayers, our connection.
Wow. Thank you. Your perception determines your experience. So this meditation allows you to see how powerful your perception really is. So join with me in taking a centering breath. And come to the cosmic waterfall. You've spent your entire life living in a beautiful cave right behind a huge waterfall. The air is wet and everything is blurry on the other side. There's a constant roar as the water pours over the face of the cave into the abyss below. It feels safe and familiar in the cave. You and your friends really like it. You can go any place as long as it's inside of the cave. One day you wake up and it's quiet. You look out and you see the skies clear for the first time. It is blue with fluffy white clouds floating along. You step out of the cave and you realize there's a whole world just beyond the waterfall. There is an entirely different world beyond the cave, beyond the limits of your existence. You run out into the sunshine and feel its warmth on your skin. It feels glorious. The colors of the flowers are so rich and the smells are incredible. As you explore this new world, you're amazed you stayed in that small cave so long. You are grateful you finally got to see the world beyond the cave. The water begins to flow again over the cliff, but you decide to stay and explore this new world instead. You have decided not to live from behind your filter system anymore. Yes. And with a smile, I say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Kim and Theta. Wow, what a powerful spiritual practice. Would you like to have more of that spiritual connection? Our minister is here to support you in learning to live from this place. And after having 2 weeks of connection with Reverend Nadine, I can say that I just learn something more in depth every time I get to communicate with her. And so I highly recommend that if you are looking to learn more about science of mind or spirituality in general, please reach out to her. And now, continuing our October theme, Prosperous Me, open your mind to receive, is today's speaker, Reverend Savanna Noelle, with her talk entitled Green Lights. But first, a bit about Reverend Savanna. Reverend Savanna Noelle is a speaker, teacher, and relationship coach. She started her spiritual path at the age of 16 in Denver, Colorado at Mile High Church. Savanna supports people in their discovery of health, connected, conscious, intimate relationships, and worthiness. An ordained minister with a master's degree in consciousness studies, Savanna has been a guest speaker at events in London, Kiev, Vancouver, and Cairo. She has worked extensively with global outreach within Science of Mind, most notably in both Egypt during the revolution in 2012 and ongoing in Ukraine over a span of 11 years teaching and speaking. She is currently based in Seattle, Washington. Please help me welcome in Reverend Savanna.
Good morning, everyone. I know you're all out there. I don't see all your faces, but I just want to start by saying thank you to Reverend Nadine for bringing me here. And this is a new opportunity. I've actually never spoken for any community in Hawaii. So this is a joy for me. And I'm honored that you had me here this morning. So my topic is all about green lights. And I have to tell you, as this always happens in every talk that I give, what I'm sharing today is always and also what I'm also going through and what I'm learning and diving into. And we all know that feeling when we're driving down the road and we hit every green light and we think that it's the angels or it's the law of attraction or it's serendipity or maybe it's just luck. And it makes us feel better. It's like that cup of coffee that we smell in the morning or the sound of rain here in Seattle or the sun breaking through the clouds. And it just feels better, right? And I, not too long ago, read a book that some of you might have heard of by Matthew McConaughey, and it's called Green Lights. And he gives so much beautiful wisdom in it. And there's this spiritual overtone that weaves throughout it. And I want to use some of his thoughts within this talk today, but also just some of my own thoughts and reflections and wisdom. He says that the sole objective of life is the pursuit of the singular finish with only the arrival in sight. This is what brings us together. So green lights, they mean go, right? They mean advance and carry on and continue. And on the road, of course, they're set up to give the flow of traffic and the right of way. And when they are scheduled properly, more vehicles can catch more green lights in succession. And so the green lights that we see on the road say proceed. And in life, in our lives, it's such a beautiful metaphor because they are the affirmation of our way. They are the approvals and the support and the praise and the gifts. And they are the what Matthew would call the gas on our fire. They are the appetite that we have for life. They show up also as cash money and birth and springtime and health and success. They show up as joy and sustainability. They show up in our lives as fresh new beginnings and fresh starts. We love green lights, and they don't often interfere with our direction. They're typically easy. He talks about it. I love the way he says this. He says that it's like a shoeless summer. They say yes, and they give us what we want. But sometimes green lights can be disguised as yellow and red lights. And that shows up as caution. It's a detour. It's like life moved us to go into a different direction. It's a thoughtful pause. It's an interruption. It's a disagreement. Maybe it's a sickness or a pain that you're feeling. He says it is that full stop jackknife, an intervention, a failure, a suffering. It could be death or loss for many of us, as we've experienced over the last 4 years of this pandemic, of loss and grief. It's ambiguity. And most of us don't really like yellow or red lights, right? Because they slow us down. They stop our flow. They're hard. They say no. But sometimes I'm finding that they actually give us what we need. And yellow and red lights for me, they show up to me when I need to get still, when I'm in this in-between space, when I'm needing to learn a new skill or perhaps a new behavior to bring me to the next iteration of my life. They are delays. And sometimes they're asking us to be more patient, eager for newness sometimes is how it shows up, or it's anticipating something wonderful. But what we must remember is that a delay is not necessarily denial. And catching green lights really is a skill. It's about, and we would talk about this in the spiritual concept and spiritual terms as intent, as our intention, as putting our attention and focus on the things that we want to bring into our world, right? It's context, it's consideration, it's endurance, it's anticipation, it's the resilience that life is asking us to cultivate within us. It is also about speed and discipline. We catch more green lights when we identify where the red lights are in our life and we change course, and then we hit fewer of them. I also think that green lights are about timing. And so, it's that idea that divine timing is happening, and yet we want to force the outcome to get it now, to change what is happening right now, forgetting that we must trust in the divine timing of what it is that wants to come forward in our lives. I'm experiencing this in a very big way that I'll share in a moment. in my own life, we can also engineer and design for them. We can create more and schedule them into our future. This is where our visioning and our spiritual practice comes into play. It is looking at where in my life am I looking and flowing in the path of least resistance. It's sometimes through the force of our will and hard work and the choices we make, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is in the deepest surrender that we could possibly know. And I believe that not only can we design and engineer those green lights, but this is what living on the spiritual path is about. It is what we would say is by right of consciousness. So intentionality, yes, but also remembering that consciousness is cause, consciousness is everything. And so we get to ask the question, what if a green light itself were knowing and trusting that there really is a divine plan, that there is something bigger going on, that a green light is the trusting that everything is working together for our good, most especially when we can't see it. That to me is a green light in and of itself. A green light is believing in ourselves, and it is knowing the truth despite the appearances. And this is what our spiritual mind treatment is about. This is what our affirmative prayer, and the way that we show up and walk in the world is seeing the truth despite the appearances, right? Turning away from the energy of the condition that might be appearing before us. It is being willing to do some of that inner work, doing the work in consciousness to clear our minds from those limitations and those limiting beliefs that self-sabotage often sneaks in. For me, sometimes it shows up as a self-doubt and confusion. It shows up as fear. And it's learning how to be with the juxtaposition of all of that, to be with it all, with the challenges and the darkness and the joys and the sorrows and the unknowns, to sit in our discomfort and trusting that the challenges that we face right now today will eventually turn into blessings in the rearview mirror of our lives. And sometimes we don't see it till we're on the other side, right? And we know from this teaching and from that meditation just now that this is all about perception, how we see the challenges in front of us and how we engage with them. So we persist, we pivot, or we concede. And so one of the questions I ask of you today is, what if a no was actually a yes, but we just didn't know it? I've read over the years countless stories of people who almost gave up on their dreams, and they were almost, or actually were rejected countless times before they made it really big. And they hit many yellow and red lights before hitting those green lights. And you probably know some of them. Robert Pattinson, who was in the Twilight films, and he was also in the new Batman. His story is that after auditioning for Twilight as Edward Cullen, he said that he was ready to throw in the towel and just abandon his acting career before he learned that he got the role. And he said, the audition was one of the worst auditions I did in my whole life. And I remember calling my parents and saying, I'm done. I can't torture myself anymore. And he got the role. We've seen it with the life of Harrison Ford. He's Han Solo, right? He's Indiana Jones. And he has been in many more of the biggest blockbusters, of the last few decades. And yet it wasn't always easy for him. When he first started auditioning, film executives told him that he didn't have what it takes to be a star. And we see his life unfold as it has. The most amazing actress, Meryl Streep, she was trying to make a name for herself in the industry. And in doing that, she auditioned for a role for the classic 1976 King Kong film. And the producer of the film, Dino De Laurentiis' son, brought Streep into the audition for the role after he saw her in this play. And after her audition, he turned to his son and said in Italian, "Why did you bring me this ugly thing?" However, he didn't know that Streep understood Italian, and she replied back, "I'm sorry, I'm not beautiful enough to be in King Kong." Little did he know that he had rejected and insulted someone who would go to win, 3 Oscars and 8 Golden Globes. She might even have more at this point. And so I think about this, about when we're at this moment, and I found this in my own life. where we want to give up, we want to throw in the towel, we're getting setbacks, we're getting pauses and delays. Can you remember what have been the green lights in your life that completely transformed your direction and your path in a really beautiful way? Can you recall how they came to be? What were the reds and the yellows that were disguised as a no and were actually a true blessing? I think it's important to reflect on that and to remind ourselves that we have to keep going. We have to train our brains to look for green lights. So we look for the good. We expect the good. We expect the flow, right? Look for the ways that life is saying, yes, do that, think that. And one of the ways that I've been doing this in my own life is by looking at all of the unexpected abundance that is showing up as my spiritual practice. I literally have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all that is coming to me, the dinner that someone paid for me, the trip that I went on and all expenses paid, or just money that landed in my lap. Keeping track of that and just seeing, wow, this life is supporting me. I've had so many green lights in my life. And honestly, the yellows and the reds were there to deepen me, to soften my edges, to show me grace, to give me perspective of why the dark times were needed. And to be very honest with you, I found myself in this really uncertain, dark period right now. It's been pretty dark because I'm in this process, as Theta was singing her beautiful song about the butterfly, I'm in this process of recreating myself, of looking at 20 years of a career and saying, wow, I'm looking for a new opportunity now. Where can I be of service? Where can I share my gifts? And there is no laid path before me that I can see yet. And so this is all deliciously ambiguous, and it has no doubt some great lessons in it. But I'm trying, and maybe try isn't the word. I'm leaning into the gifts of what this time is here to teach me and to show me. Can we look at the low moments as gifts, as the way in which it's preparing us, it's refining us, it's teaching us, it's showing us how to let go of certain roles and titles and ego identifications that we have made to make us feel special? It's this realization that I had recently that I've been having this need to be somewhere else, that I'm not okay with where I am. And so I'm having to be okay with being in the middle, what I call the middle. The middle for me has brought an array of emotions, from fear to self-doubt to a new direction to sadness. But when we're in the middle, we tend to want to give up right before the miracle or the breakthrough. And so life is asking me, and perhaps you right now, that we must just be in the middle. Because right here in the middle is the journey. It's where the answers are. It's where the unexpected gifts and the payoffs exist. It's where that infinite possibility and opportunities are. Right here, if we just pause for a moment, is where the presence is. Right here is where the good and the unexpected miracles and joy are. And right here is where we free ourselves to having to be anywhere else. Right here is where we surrender to the not knowing and where our growth is. And this right here moment is where our peace is. It's the only actually here we have, right? And so although I wish that it weren't so, I have to consider that this right now, being in the middle, not knowing, is answered prayer, because it is the exact thing that's catapulting me to have to change and to grow. And it feels like the most scariest thing and the most uncomfortable, but I keep asking life and the universe, what is the next right, perfect, intended step? What is the right and perfect next step for my becoming? And I'm looking for the green lights. And that's where we stay. What I know about my life, because I've seen it happen so many times, is that the breakthrough often happens right at the breakdown. When we feel helpless, when we want to give up, when we feel alone, when we don't know, when we're unsure how it's going to work out, how we're going to keep it all together. And this is usually when grace appears. It's this soft whisper, it's a gentle nudge that it's going to be okay. Matthew McConaughey talks about it. He says, sometimes you got to go back to go forward. And I don't mean going back to reminisce, or chase ghosts. I mean, we have to go back to see where we came from, where we've been, and what got us here. And so if you can think to yourself how far you've come, how much you've grown, what you've yet to experience, and if you have done it all, how much more room do you have in your life for joy and new connections and experiences and more goodness? I want to share a very, very brief story here. When I was 16 years old, I ran away from home. I lived in West Texas at the time, and I was a 4.0 student. I rarely ever got into trouble. And there was this pivotal moment in my life where my mother had moved to Colorado, and she was hoping that I was going to join her because she had met a man there and eventually married him. And I stayed in a 3,000 person small town. And she knew that she had to leave because it would have been the death of her very quickly. And it was one of those split-second decisions that I had to make as to whether I was going to go with her or not. And my safety at that time was of great concern. I grew up in a very small town in the oil fields of West Texas, and I had just qualified for state in baton twirling because I was a baton twirler for like 6 years. And I had a boyfriend, of course, at 16 years old, and choir and band was my life. And I knew nothing more than this simple life filled with football games and church and quinceañeras. And I had all the green lights, and so I stayed. But there was something inherently deeper within me that knew that staying behind would be challenging. And within a matter of months, I found myself in an abusive situation that left me running away, checking out of my high school, and leaving everything that I knew in this small town for a huge city and school. I was terrified. I had no idea of the life before me, and it felt like a major red light. It was 1999. I was a sophomore in high school. You can do the math. And a matter of months later, I walked into Mile High Church of Religious Science, and a yellow light appeared. This caution, this hesitation, this, oh my gosh, this is so weird. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're saying. And then a green light happened, and then another green light. And I just kept going and learning. I kept pursuing. And now 20 years later, I've been in this beautiful teaching, and looking back, I give gratitude every day that I didn't stay. I give gratitude for that red light because it was actually a green light in disguise. And so we have to learn to look for the green lights. Consider that, yes, eventually, we all come to the end. And while we're in the middle, we get to shape and redirect and pivot and start again, especially when we feel like giving up. I want to close now with a quote by Ernest Holmes. He said, when you want to do a big thing, get the mental pattern, make it perfect. Know just what it means. Enlarge your thought. Keep it to yourself. Pass it over to the creative power behind all things. Wait and listen. And when the impression comes, follow it with assurance. Don't talk to anyone about it. Never listen to negative talk or pay attention to it, and you will succeed where all others fail. So let us catch more of those green lights, because the thing is, the yellows and the reds eventually turn green by design and on purpose, if we are paying attention. Thank you so much. So good to be with you all.
Thank you so much. Oh, that was amazing. That was wonderful. Thank you for your inspiring message.
Of course.
And please join us next Sunday as we welcome back Reverend Dr. Nadine Rogers for another virtual Sunday celebration with her message on our philanthropic nature. And mark your calendars for our next and second Sunday of the month in-person celebration with Reverend Melissa Blevins. I'm so excited to introduce back our amazing musical artist, Theta Phoenix.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful, inspiring talk. And I loved that Matthew McConaughey book as well. So many spiritual messages. So inspiring to trust our process. So one of my favorite things to do is to actually sing intuitively and open up to the moment and see what wants to come through, see what is inspired in the moment. So I invite you to, just feel into your heart and join me in this present moment song that comes through here. Life is a journey. I'm living, I am learning, yearning for the truth, learning to listen to the calling inside my heart, to open to the guidance, to learn to recognize the green lights before my eyes, to co-create with this great mystery that I am traveling, walking hand in hand with the guidance of my soul and source highest command. May my heart lead, may I be guided by mercy and compassion, forgiveness, self-acceptance. May I be gentle with myself when I do not know the way or the intentions of the day. May I be gentle with myself and open my eyes to recognize the truth of each other. We are one family, humanity, spirit in human form, journeying together, learning together how to co-create in this mystery of this human experience. We are all learning to live from our hearts, from our hearts, learning to live from our hearts. Thank you. That was inspired in the moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your heart.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Theta, and what an extraordinary, beautiful experience. If you wish to contact Theta or to listen to some more of her sacred sound, please visit thetaphoenix.com. I also know that she has a class coming up. You can also listen to her online, and she's going to put some links in the chat. And now it's time for our conscious giving, an opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. We know that we have to receive as well as give. So we invite you to let your divine inner wisdom choose the blessing of joy that calls to you, whether it's on the screen or something from your higher self. Keep it with you all week long, and remember how much you are loved. Wonderful. And now we can complete the law of circulation by giving back. I invite you to invoke the feeling of gratitude through thoughts of infinite possibility right where you are, allowing that to fill you and the space around you. Thank you all for all the ways that you support this center and the community, whether it be in the form of donation, your time, or by sharing your positive light out into the world. And now let us speak our prosperity affirmation together. This gift I give is God in action. I give it in love. I give it in joy. I give it in gratitude. I give it knowing that it is given again. And so I graciously give. And so it is. We offer easy ways to donate your offering. You can make a donation through our website at cslwh.org or by sending a check to the address on the screen. We gratefully receive your gifts and tithes. Your support allows us to connect with each other to create a center where we can thrive and learn to contribute to a world that works for everyone. And last but not least, here are a variety of ways to connect and engage in our community. Sharing the Bounty Fall Fundraiser has gone live. And we want to welcome you to check out the offerings that we have and to consider bidding. You can find the link to it on our website homepage. And part of the proceeds of this auction will be paid forward to the Waimea Food Pantry, St. James Parish, and United Way Maui. We have the Sacred Prayer Circle on Monday, October 16th from 6 to 7 p.m. All are welcome to a time of setting a new intention for their lives and being supported in activating the law of mind in action. This is a gentle, confidential space in which to gain clarity and claim your good. Our book study was such a success. We are offering another running on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time for 6 weeks. Beginning on October 18th, we are using a book entitled God Works Through You by author Dr. Robert Russell, and the investment is $40. Self-mastery, new date, emerging of the true self on Saturday mornings, beginning October 29th to December 16th from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. This is a Science of Mind accredited course facilitated by Dr. Nadine Rogers and focuses on healing, revealing the perceived between personality and spirit to gain mastery in the art of conscious living. The investment is $150. Our Sunset Ohana meetup is on Sunday, October 22nd from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at Spencer Beach Park. Bring some poo-poos and refreshments to share, or come as you are to join in the fun, sharing, and spiritually open conversation. This is a great way to introduce others to CSL West Hawaii community. A big thank you to all who came together at our first in-person Sunday. It was amazing. It was our first celebration in 3 years. What a fabulous experience. Our next in-person Sunday is on November 12th at Waikoloa Village with Reverend Melissa Blevins and guest artist Gail Fujimoto. Come for the music, stay for the message, and please share our good news. We want your testimonials. Lives are impacted, changed, and transformed through the application of Science of Mind teachings. It's important to share our demonstrations as they serve to inspire others and help to keep us moving in the best direction for ourselves. We have a fillable form on our website, so please hop on and share your good news with us all. Links on all of these events to register can be found on our website calendar at www.cslwh.org, or feel free to email us at cslwh.board@gmail.com. On behalf of the entire community, thank you for being part of our spiritual family today, and we look forward to seeing you again. It's now my pleasure to reintroduce Reverend Savanna to close us with an affirmative prayer, and then stay on for the peace song and the after chat.
Awesome. So let us just take a moment to take a breath, a deep breath. Just connecting to that power and that presence, that wisdom, that guidance that lives, breathes, moves as us, in us at all times and always. It is that universal spirit. It is that power. It is that beauty. It is the joy. It is the abundance that all of life is. And I know that I am one with this power and presence. I know that each and every one of us watching, tuning in, are tapped in, connected, aligned to this great knower that lives within each and every one of us. And so I know that we go forward today just looking for the green lights, looking for the way that life is guiding us in newness, in eagerness and in anticipation for goodness, for prosperity, for abundance, for opportunities, for all of the love and the intelligence and all that is deeply within our hearts. I know comes to us easily and effortlessly. And so I bless this community. I bless all of the work that we are all doing individually and collectively in the world. And I also want to uplift the parts of the world right now that need a bit more love. We send our love, our healing energy, our light, and peace for Israel and for Palestine. I bring them into my heart right now, knowing that right where they are, there is something far greater unfolding that we can't see yet, that is the miracle that we need, that brings forward unity, that brings forward love, that brings forward healing, that brings forward comfort, that brings forward all the resources that are needed in this moment to aid all that is happening and going on there right now. And so for that and the more, for each and every one of us, I know we are deeply blessed. I give thanks. I release my word into the activation of love itself. And I know it does not come back void. And we all say together, Ashe, Namaste, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is. And I want to correct, the self-mastery class is starting on the 28th. And Rev Savanna has an amazing class that's also starting. And she's going to be putting the link into the chat for us all to learn more about that too.
Thank you.
Yes. And now we get to do our amazing peace song.
Do we get to sing? Is it to
Yes,
sing?
everyone can sing.
Okay. There is peace on earth begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was with me. Yes, we is one in perfect harmony. Yes, peace alone. With every step we take, let peace be present. There is no that Whoa, that's bad recording.
Everybody's got their
Thank you, everyone. And we can't wait to see you next time.